Once again, good afternoon. I just want to give you some insights about productivity or work productivity. Okay, so in control management, productivity is defined as the overall efficiency in output of a given operational system. No, uh, productivity is defined as a total output per one unit of a total input. So in control management, productivity is a measure of how efficiently a process runs and how effectively it uses resources. Now, at the plant level, common input statistics are monetary units, weights of volumes of raw semi-finished materials, kilowatt hours of power, and worker hours. Output is simply the rate of which goods are being produced and redeemed for sale. So managing production level is part of the control process. Again, productivity growth is important to a business because it controls the real income means needed to meet obligations to customers, suppliers, workers, shareholders, and of course the governments when it comes to taxes and regulations. Okay, so for us, of course, to give us more details about employee productivity, okay, let us all welcome Ms. Kay. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Kay Clarence Salvan and I will be discussing about employee productivity. So first topic is all about productivity. Productivity has now become an everyday watchword. It is crucial to the welfare of industrial firm as well as for the economic progress of the country. High productivity refers to doing the work in a shortest possible time with at least expenditure on inputs without sacrificing the quality and with minimum wastage of resources. So what is productivity? Productivity means the amount of products or services produced with the resources used. Productivity is computed as quantity of products or services produced over amount of resources used. Productivity varies with the amount of production relative to the amount of resources used. There are also factors influencing productivity. It is categorized into two: controllable factors and uncontrollable factors. In controllable factors, it is also known as internal factors. This includes the following: product factor. So in terms of productivity means the extent to which the product meets output requirements. Product is judged by its usefulness. The cost-benefit factor of a product can be enhanced by increasing the benefit at the same cost or by reducing cost for the same benefit. In plant and equipment, this play a prominent role in enhancing the productivity. The increased availability of the plant through proper maintenance and reduction of idle time increases the productivity. Productivity can be increased by paying proper attention to utilization, age, modernization, costs, investment, and so on. So in technology, innovative and latest technology improves productivity to a greater extent. Automation and information technology helps to achieve improvement in material handling, storage, communication system, and quality control. Next is material and energy. So in material and energy, efforts to reduce material and energy consumption brings about considerable improvement in productivity. Next is human factors. Productivity is basically dependent upon human competence and skill. Ability to work effectively is governed by various factors such as education, training, experience, aptitude, and so on of the employees. Motivation of employees will influence productivity. In work methods, improving the ways in which work is done improves productivity. Work study and industrial engineering techniques and training are the areas which improve the work methods, which in turns enhance the productivity. And last is management style. This influences organizational design, communication and organization, policy and procedure. A flexible and dynamic management style is a better approach to achieve higher productivity. Next category is uncontrollable factor. It is also known as external factors. So this includes structural adjustment, natural resources, and government and infrastructure. So in structural adjustment, these are both economic and social changes. Economic changes that influence significantly or shift in employment, for example, from agriculture to manufacturing industry. It also include the import of technology and industrial competitiveness. So in social changes, some of the factors that play a significant role in the improvement of productivity are women's participation in the labor force, education, cultural values, and attitude. In natural resources, manpower, land, and raw materials are vital to the productivity improvement. And last, in government and infrastructure, the government policies and programs are significant to productivity practices of government agencies. Transport and communication, fiscal policies influence productivity to the greater extent. So next slide is about total productivity measure. It is based on all inputs. The model can be applied to any manufacturing organization or services company. So total productivity is computed as total tangible output over total tangible input. Then total tangible output is computed as value of finished goods produced plus value of partial units produced plus dividends from securities plus interest plus other income. And last is total tangible input is computed as value of human plus material plus capital plus energy plus other input use. The word tangible here refers to measurable. So the best way to express them is in rupee values. Next is partial productivity measure. So here, it depends upon the individual input. Partial productivity is expressed as partial productivity equals total output over individual input. So labor productivity is computed as total output over labor input. So labor input is measured in terms of man hours. Capital productivity is expressed as total output over capital input. Material productivity equals total output over material input. And last is energy productivity equals total output over energy input. One of the major disadvantage of this partial productivity measure is there is an overemphasis on one input factor to extent that other input are underestimated or even ignored. And now we have work study. Work study is a generic term for those techniques, method study, and work measurement which are used in the examination of human work in all contexts, and which lead systematically to the investigation of all factors which affect the efficiency and economy of the situation being reviewed in order to effect improvement. Work study is a means of enhancing the production efficiency or the productivity of the firm by elimination of waste and unnecessary operation. Method study and work measurement is part of work study. Part of method study is motion study. Work measurement is also called by the name time study as shown in figure 7.2, framework of work study. Now we will proceed with the method study as part of work study. Method study is called methods engineering or work design. Method engineering is used to describe collection of analysis techniques which focus on improving the effectiveness of man and machine. So the basic approach to method studies consists of the following 8 steps. The detailed procedure for conducting the method study is shown in figure 7.3. First, select the work to be studied and define its boundaries. Then, record the relevant facts about the job by direct observation and collect such additional data as may be needed from the appropriate sources. Then, examine the way the job is being performed and challenge its purpose, place sequence, and method of performance. Then, develop the most practical, economic, and effective method, drawing on the contributions of those concerned. Evaluate different alternatives to developing a new improved method, comparing the cost effectiveness of the selected new method with the current method of performance. Then define the new method as a result in a clear manner and present it to those concerned like management, supervisors, and workers. Then install the new method as a standard practice and train the person involved in applying it. And last, maintain the new method and introduce control procedure to prevent a drifting back to the previous method of work. Next slide, motion study. It is a part of method study where analysis of the motion study of an operator or work will be studied by the following prescribed methods. So there are number of principles concerning the economy of movements which have been developed as a result of experience and which forms the basis for the development of improved methods at the workplace. The principles are grouped into three headings: A. Use of human body. B. Arrangement of workplace. And C. Design of tools and equipment. So the two techniques used in method study that will be used also in motion study are the following. First is the macro motion study. These are flow process chart and two-handed process chart. And last is the micro motion study. Simultaneous motion cycle chart or the SIMO chart is a recording technique for a micro motion study. A SIMO chart is a chart based on the film analysis used to record simultaneously on a common time scale the group of turbleads performed by different parts of the body of one or more operators. We will proceed with work measurement. Work measurement is also called by the name time study. Work measurement is absolutely essential for both the planning and control of operation. For the purpose of work measurement, work can be regarded as repetitive work, the type of work in which the main operation or group of operation repeat continuously during the time spent at the job. This apply to work cycles of extremely short duration. And non-repetitive work, it includes some type of maintenance and construction work, where the work cycle itself is hardly ever repeated identically. So we have various techniques of work measurement. These are time study or stopwatch technique. A work measurement technique for recording the times and rates of working for the elements of a specified job carried out under a specified condition and for analyzing the data so as to determine the time necessary for carrying out the job at the defined level of performance. Then, synthesis. It is a work measurement technique for building up the time for a job or pans of the job at a defined level of performance by totaling element times obtained previously from time studies on other jobs containing the elements concerned or from synthetic data. And work sampling. This is a technique in which a large number of observations are made over a period of time of one or group of machine processes or workers. Fourth, predetermined motion and time study. A work measurement technique whereby time established for basic human motions, classified according to the nature of the motion and conditions under which it is made, are used to build up the time for a job at a defined level of performance. And last, analytical estimating. It is a work measurement technique being developed of estimating whereby the time required to carry out elements of a job at a defined level of performance is estimated partly from knowledge and practical experience of the elements concerned and partly from the synthetic data. Time study and work sampling involve direct observation and the remaining are database and analytical in nature. Next is time study. It is also called work measurement. This is essential for both planning and control of operation. Stopwatch time is the basic technique for determining accurate time standard. They are economical for repetitive type of work. Steps in taking time studies are first, select the work to be studied, then obtain and record all the information available about the job, the operator and the working conditions likely to affect the time study work. Then we need to break down the operation into elements. An element is an instinct part of a specified activity composed of one or more fundamental motions selected for convenience of observation and timing. Measure the time by means of a stopwatch taken by the operator to perform each element of the operation. Either continuous method or snapback method of timing could be used. At the same time, assess the operator's effective speed of work relative to the observer's concept of normal speed. This is called the performance rating. Adjust the observed time by rating factor to obtain normal time for each element computed as normal equals observed time multiplied by rating over 100. Then add the suitable allowances to compensate for the fatigue, personal needs, contingencies, and so on to give standard time for each element. Compute allowed time for the entire job by adding element standard times considering frequency of occurrence of each element. Make a detailed job description describing the method for which the standard time is established. Last, test and review standards wherever necessary. The basic steps in time study are presented by a block diagram in figure 7.5. Under the time study, we have allowances. The normal time for an operation does not contain any allowances for the worker. It is impossible to work throughout the day even though the most practicable or effective method has been developed. Even under the best working method situation, the job will still demand the expenditure of human effort and some allowance must therefore be made for recovery from fatigue and for relaxation. Allowance must also made to enable the worker to attend his personal needs. The allowance are categorized into three: relaxation allowance, interference allowance, and the contingency allowance. Relaxation allowances are calculated so as to allow the worker to recover from fatigue. Relaxation allowance is addition to the basic time intended to provide the worker with the opportunity to recover from the physiological and psychological effects of carrying out specified work under specified condition and to allow attention to personal needs. The amount of allowance will depend on the nature of the job. Relaxation allowances are of two types: the fixed allowance, which constitute the personal need allowance and allowance for basic fatigue, and second type of relaxation allowance is the variable allowance. This allowed to an operator who is working under poor environmental conditions that cannot be improved, added stress and strain in performing the job. Then number two, interference allowance. It is an allowance of time included into the work content of the job to compensate the operator for the unavoidable loss of production due to simultaneous stoppage of two or more machines being operated by him. This allowance is applicable for machine or process control job. And last, a contingency allowance. It is a small allowance of time which may be included in a standard time to meet legitimate and expected items of work or delays, the precise measurement of which is uneconomical because of their infrequent or irregular occurrence. So another technique of work measurement is work sampling. Work sampling is a method in which large number of instantaneous observation are made at a random time intervals over a period of time or group of machine. So to compute the average time per assemble, it is computed as total minutes of assembly work over number of units assembled. To compute the normal time per unit, it is average time per unit multiplied by performance rating. So we will now proceed with predetermined time standard. It is commonly used for new operations or new products. Many predetermined time standard system are used: work factor, method time measurement, or MTM, basic motion time, or BMT study, and others. So here in predetermined time standards, suitable job performed by many workers over a compact area. Task may involve a little repetition, but if repetitious, the cycle are very long. Worker must be observed by a single analyst. A moderate degree of accuracy in the labor standard is desirable, but a time study is too costly. Only large element of work need to be observed, and little detail is needed in setting the time standard. Then we have the employee health and safety. Employee health and safety is important to minimize the risk of injury and illness from workplace operation. We have several regulations and the government agencies monitor and controls. First is the OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Standards Act will protect the health of workers in the Philippines. Then workers' compensation protects employers from the claims resulting from injuries to employees. It protects your business from lawsuits and provides employees with compensation for on-the-job injuries. Then EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency of the Philippines, is such an agency. It shall only deal with matters that have a relation only to the protection, preservation, and enhancement of the environment. At last, we will have wrap up. World-class companies recognize employees are of strategic and tactical importance. So workers must have problem-solving abilities and be trained, cross-trained, educated, and empowered so that they can work in teams and respond to customer need. Organizational structure must be developed to encourage full use of employee. And last, information is the main media of the management. So that's all for today. Thank you and God bless.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam. Again, as what our presenter mentioned with her wrap up, no? Productivity growth is important to a firm because more real income means that the firm can meet its obligations to customers, suppliers, workers, shareholders, and government, and still remain competitive or even improve its competitiveness in the marketplace. Productivity is one of the main concerns of business management and engineering. So practically, all companies have established procedures for collecting, analyzing, and reporting productivity data. The accounting department typically has the overall responsibility for collecting, organizing, and storing data generated by various departments. Now, again, many companies have formal programs for improving productivity via existing control systems. So companies are constantly looking for ways to improve quality, reduce downtime, and increase inputs of labors, materials, energy, and purchase services. Simple changes to operating methods of processes can increase productivity. Okay? The biggest gains often come from adopting new technologies or concepts which requires our capital expenditure for new equipment, computers, or software. Okay? So that's it for that topic.